What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I'm joined by Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
Infinitely awesome as always. Infinitely awesome as always. And infinitely awesome as always.
Jesus Christ.
Just wanted you guys to know. Thank you for asking. How are you, sir?
Confused as always. That's how I am.
Once, twice, or three times.
Infinitely. Confused infinitely.
There you go.
But we also have a special guest joining us
place.
today. We got Michelle back again. How are you doing?
Doing pretty
Michelle!
good.
How are you, Mel?
Doing good.
I like these horns.
I know.
I
They're
think
dual colored too. There's like purple on the other side.
Oh, you can switch it up?
Mm-hmm.
Turn around, flip it, and reverse it.
If I was a demon, I would want my horns to do something like glow in the dark or something. Nice.
I guess.
Yeah, you don't want, just regular horns. I mean, what's the speculations on horns anyway? I thought horns were only for like demonic entities. But we've seen, and I know you haven't even done the intro yet, but we've seen some horns in this movie.
Yeah.
She wasn't a demon.
Not just demons.
We'll get to that in just a little bit. But if you don't know what this is All Things Super, where every week we take a piece of superpower, movie, TV, even trailers. We watch them, we review them, we react to them, we break them down, and we ask the question, is it super?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it? No. Like, could be.
Maybe. But if you like that, click the subscribe button and then click on the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on any of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we like reading the comments. So Michelle, there's a lot of that goes on to this show.
Mm-hmm.
A whole lot of
slow. You talk to her like she hasn't been on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying she's not alone when there's the east to west compass check. Just, and then
What?
it's just.
He's normally not this bad.
Slowly goes.
Are you sure?
Yes. Normally it takes him about half the episode to get like this, not in the first 2 minutes.
So what happens when he makes us wait until late at night?
Is that what you know what it is? Dun da da da.
He didn't have his cup.
Oops, I overshot it.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh my god.
But if you don't already know and you hadn't seen the thumbnail or looked at the title of the video, we are going to be reviewing.
It kind of makes me wonder how they clicked it if they didn't look at the thumbnail.
I mean, it might have just been autoplay. You know how sometimes the video plays after the other video that's related to the one that you just watched?
That means we in somebody queue. Q, what's up, baby? Yeah, we done hit the level. Yeah, we're in your queue. This is your favorite part of the day. Whenever you're watching this, morning, evening, daytime, nighttime, supper time, dinner time, nap time. Remember prime time, crime time, WWE.
Yes, I remember Crime Time. Chad and JTG.
Oh, good times, man. Good times.
But anyway, we're going to be reviewing Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, just released, starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, all the rest of them.
Whole cast.
Whole cast.
Whole cast of guys.
A small cast. A small cast when you think about it. There were not a lot of other than like extras and like these huge crowd scenes, there were not a lot of like just extra people from scene to scene. It was really just the core amount.
Yeah, when you're on a journey, you don't really need anybody else, right? Because you're going from here to there.
Right. And you just
Hugh
meet some
Grant's
people
there.
along the way. Yeah, he's there for a portion of the film.
Did you need more Hugh Grant?
I didn't need more Hugh Grant, honestly. I think he for the little bit of time that he was in the film, I think that was probably the right amount of time.
Oh man, Hugh Grant. This is a long way from Notting Hill.
This is true. This is true. But I mean, I think he's probably at the point in time where he just does the things that he enjoys. It's not like he's hurt, like he has to like really grind a search for a role. I think he's just accepting accepting the one that he wants to do. And he probably thought that this would be fun, so he jumped on it.
Kind of like Bill Murray, right? Bill Murray just kind of, because it's known around the industry, he doesn't answer his phone. He just kind of shows up, and they're like, "Oh, we extended this to you, and we tried to talk to your people, and I guess his people was like, don't bet on it, but if he shows up, sure." You get to that point in your career. I think Jack Nicholson is like that too.
Is he even still doing anything?
He's a Joker, so
I haven't seen him in anything or even heard of him. Yeah, apparently, he hasn't been wanting to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. He don't feel like it. He go watch LeBron play.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, we getting off the rails already.
Dungeons and Dragons, we reviewed the trailer for quite some time ago, and I was
San Diego
excited
Comic
about
Con.
it then. Like, yeah, wow. They sure took a long time to drop this movie.
Got to get it right.
Did they get it right? Let's talk about
Let's talk about it.
So we have our so how you said, Michelle? We have our particular character.
Titular.
Words are hard, man. Sometimes they put the letters after the word, and the word after the letter. So we have our main characters who are not love interests, Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine. Which we had a joke in the movie about this. Oh, full spoilers for those who hadn't seen Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
There's your spoiler warning. Throwback. So they were not love interests inside of this story. Well, any particular reason you think they chose to go that route versus making them?
I mean, it didn't necessarily need to be a couple. It didn't have to be because you take all of the motivation of why he was doing what he was doing. It was because of the woman that he loved, and he lost her. He held himself responsible, so he needed to do what he had to do in order to get her back. And having that be his motivation doesn't leave room for anybody else to be a romantic interest.
Yeah, that's true.
So if they were to be a couple, then I would have to change like the whole entire reason why is he a thief in the first place.
X.
Well, he starts out, and I want to remember the name right. He was a LARPer, right?
Harper.
And a Harper is a guy that dedicates his life to doing good in the world. Like, I wouldn't say a priest, but like a hero?
Peacekeeper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his name's
It's
John.
literally what they are. They're secret order peacekeepers.
Yeah, because he's fighting evil, wizards. I don't know why they didn't call them witches, but it's binary. Wizards. They're fighting wizards, and they're bringing these wizards to justice. And he asks for nothing in return, which sucked because they weren't doing too hot as far as in the financial story. So we get alludes to him bringing in the wizards or the bad guys and seeing the goal, but not being tempted by the goal, which we learned that he was tempted by the goal and he snatched some gold
well, I always
for himself.
Figured that he took the gold. I didn't think that was left to be ambiguous.
I mean, it kind of was, but it also was just duh. What else would you think he was doing?
Oh, I guess I read too much into it.
Because that's why they showed it again later of him taking it.
Yeah,
You didn't think that was the main thing?
No, I'm just saying I didn't think that when they initially showed it that they were trying to be ambiguous about whether did he take it, did he not take it. In my head, I always thought that he did take it, and then that's why they ended up coming after him and ended up killing his wife.
Well, see, that's why we didn't know until they explained it later on. Technically,
so you were ahead of the game.
I was.
Like, oh yeah, your wife deserved to die.
Because when they showed,
well, I knew the same thing, but I knew what they were getting at.
because they really, when they
Right.
showed it the second time, I was like, why are we seeing this again?
Because they didn't show it the first time.
Just doesn't pay
He was
attention.
I do pay
tilted, but he
attention. I
was
pay too
saying-
much attention, unfortunately.
And that's a question that I want to ask for the both of you guys, because we do these, these breakdowns and these movie analysis, and I look at it from a storyline standpoint. I'm sure Spider looks at it as well. Sometimes we look at it at an action standpoint. Can we enjoy these movies still without being super,
Analytical about it?
analytical? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't see anything that's because you take we reviewed I don't know how many movies just this year alone, but the ones that
Not
we
Mm.
it's never enough. But the ones that we still thoroughly enjoy, we can still criticize it. We can still say things that we thought were bad about it or things that didn't make sense about it. But it's not that the movies is not being enjoyed. I know this one, I thought there were a lot of points where I was laughing out loud. I thought it was really funny. I'm still looking at it, and while I see something, I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't really make sense, or okay, I can kind of see where they're going with this story. But unless I think it's something that's like really egregious, like when we were watching Black Adam, and I noticed that in that final speech with the young boy, when he's trying to rally the people in the town, how the ADR was just like completely off. Like it's literally he's in an open area, but it sounds like his voice is coming out like he's in a sound studio. Like just the acoustics was just completely off. But then just like things like that
Michelle
that are so
knows that
obvious.
What?
Yeah, Michelle knows that guy, the guy that screwed that up.
Sure.
Oh, it was a her?
She said, "Sure."
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My audio was bad. I think he screwed this up too.
Uh-huh.
We start out. Chris Pine is in jail, and Hoga's there eating her potato. We see this enormous, massive monster come in, and let me tell you why I enjoyed this. We're introduced to this world, this magical realm, this fairy world, this fantasy, fictitious world, right? So off the bat, off the beginning, the gate, we know that this is not Earth. This is not something that's.
I mean, it could be
gonna
Earth,
be
just different Earth,
Middle Earth,
possibly.
Earth 3. Well, we know it's not on our Earth.
There you go.
Because they're okay with the demons and gargoyles and fantasy elves and anything can go. This is a whole new world, and it's
called the Forgotten Realms.
Right, I agree.
That's
But
it's
saying,
called the Forgotten Realms, is what it is.
well, I forgot. Sorry.
Okay.
Doctor Strange spell made me forget the realm. So I like that they introduced it like that versus introducing it with our main character and then having it come in. I think the people that did this may know something about movies, potentially. And I say that because everybody that makes a movie don't know about movies.
Right.
I think we all can agree to that.
Yes.
Some people just know some people and they say, yeah, go shoot me a movie. And then we have Morbius. I said what I said. Anyway, so we start out with this monster, and then we see Michelle Rodriguez eating her potato.
Mm-hmm.
She really likes potatoes.
I mean, potatoes are good.
No salt, no seasoning. Just
You work with what you got.
Boiled potato. No Larry's, no seafood, well, nothing. Anyway, Chris was telling him not to interrupt her while she was eating her potato, and he felt as though like, oh, there's a woman in my cell. I'm about to take advantage. This guy got both of his knees busted.
Yeah.
And his head slammed on the side of the bench. Though Chris Pine was knitting and making mittens.
They
How
were
did this
they were going to be
dynamic play out for
gloves.
you guys?
They were going to be gloves, but then he decided not to do the fingers to make them mittens.
Yep.
I can respect this choice. How'd that dynamic work out for you guys, Chris and Michelle?
I feel like this really it set the tone of the movie. It showed you exactly this is what the nonchalantness of Chris Pine's character, Edgin, of him like, look, I warned you, and then the nonchalantness of Holga and just eating up potatoes, not phased, and then once it clicks, he rages, blows his knees backwards, and then Chris Pine is still, I think I'm going to make these mittens, and it's just that dynamic. And it's really, because sometimes they introduce something in the beginning of the movie and then they kind of lose it along the way. They really kept with that dynamic between the two of them throughout the entire movie. And having set it up like that as the very first scene, I appreciated that. And I don't know, I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I liked it too.
So we're going to a parole hearing, and who were they asking for?
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah, it was Jonathan.
Which we don't know who Jonathan is, but he keep insisting that Jonathan's there, not knowing Jonathan was critically a part of the plan to escape. So when Jonathan comes in, I think it was a great way to tell the backstory. I'm wondering, how did they get arrested in the first place?
Because they got caught in a crypt with the time
trying
spell.
To steal that tablet.
Yeah.
Oh,
and there were only two left.
Yeah.
Safina, yeah.
Anyway, so they used Jonathan to make a hasty escape, which, if they would have just stayed.
But they didn't know that.
They didn't know that. And it's so messed up. I was like, he did stamp it. So could they still be pardoned? Come to find out they were not.
Nope.
Well, maybe they were, because, in this forgotten fairy world, maybe news travels a little slower. So, the word of them getting pardoned wouldn't have reached. I mean, there's no internet. You can't just, they're pardoned. Plus, I'm sure there's paperwork that goes along with it.
I mean, I feel like them attempting an escape, succeeding in an escape, but even though it is that their parole hearing and they got pardoned, doing that, grabbing the chancellor or the judge or whoever council member they are, I think that's probably another offense that probably got them rearrested.
Oh yeah.
Nobody died. Even Michelle Rodriguez says he's still alive. So, hey, I tripped.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't mean to grab him and fall out the window.
Right.
But we can see that, we really got a good guy within Chris Pine's character. He has a daughter. They went on this mission. His motivations were pure. He wanted to bring his wife back because of a mistake that he made. He's carrying around this guilt that I lost my wife because of something that I did when I knew I wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it to try to make the betterment of our family. She was taken from me. Tried to do this heist to bring her back. In this heist, we got double-crossed. Getting double-crossed. Now we're on parole. First thing he does is go to see his daughter. Because he asks Hugh Grant's character to take care of his daughter. And of course, he was probably thinking that they would stay there. Hugh Grant flipped the script. Big double-cross.
Yeah.
As on a scale of double crosses, we've seen a lot of double cross, the Italian Job. We've seen a lot of double crosses. How did this double cross come about? You guys felt as though, seen that coming when they showed Hugh Grant.
Well, I've seen it because even when he was introducing them and saying that they were going on like missions and stuff as thieves, he said that he was a con man.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's telling the story about them getting, and again, this is probably me just reading too much into things, they're getting frozen. He's telling, what was his name? Forge. He's telling Forge take care of Kira. And just the way that Hugh Grant portrays his character and the way he looks, it looks like he was up to something. Like it looks like he was the one that set him up. And he
did.
Well, I mean, he
Sir,
did set him up.
Profiling, sir.
You tell me somebody's a con man, I'm gonna believe you. And you're part of a band of thieves. Yes, they need a con man. But he just looked like
there is no honor amongst thieves, right? So if you're with a band of thieves,
but there is honor amongst thieves. That's what the point of the movie is about.
Is there?
The title of the movie is Honor Among Thieves.
Or lack thereof.
I mean, the rest of them had honor.
If we're all thieves. No, I'm just saying that we're all thieves. You can imagine somebody's gonna turn on you. If there's a group of 6, at least 2 out of those 6 either plotting to take over or they're gonna turn on you at some point, right? Michelle, what do you think?
I mean, he did seem kind of sus, but it is accurate that most of the time you have a big group like that, there's not everyone's going to be following the plan.
Yeah, at some point in time, you're going to have to,
And not even him. Fucking Sofina was sus, the most sus, so it's like...
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Thank you. Yeah, it's like, come on. You look like you just... I'm like double-checking your intel. Like, who did you hear this from? Like, who told you that? Which pigeon or bird or...
Because after they said it and they were in the house talking and all that, you could tell they were planning something.
Mm-hmm.
With the way she smiled.
So are you saying this is Chris Pine's fault for not doing his due diligent research?
Pretty much.
Oh, wow. Point and blame. Somebody got to get the charge. So we're doing this job, and we're all supposed to be on the same page. Tables are turned. Scripts are flipped. And now we're caught into this time vortex bubble. How do we like the special effects in Dungeons and Dragons?
I thought they were good.
Is Spider in the time bubble? What's going on?
I was like Michelle Lance. I've been talking the whole episode.
Oh.
No, I thought the effects were really good and all that. And the portrayal of the spell casting and the underworld and all that stuff was cool. So I liked it.
The underworld.
Down the orifice.
Okay.
Or the Underdark, I should say.
Yeah, the Underdark.
It was.
Nice play on words. I mean, we're looking at basically a heist movie in a fairy realm, right? We're putting the team together, or putting the team
back fairy, together. Fantasy.
Right? But what makes it cool is we got a lot of magical elements involved.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting the band back together after this point. We done escape from prison. We go to the house. Our daughter is not there. I say our daughter because Michelle Rodriguez basically raised her as well, because that's the story of how they came together. Yep. He had lost his wife. He had his daughter. He met Michelle Rodriguez. She was kind of down and out because she had left her clan for a man that a smaller man that she loved. And then it didn't kind of work out because she was still sad about being ostracized from her clan. Mm-hmm. So she was they broke up. Can we say they broke up, or maybe they were separated? They broke up.
No, they got divorced.
On a break.
They got divorced. Yeah. They were fully divorced.
Oh.
She said ex-husband.
You can't have more of a break than that, man.
That's completely broken.
That's completely broken. So they both were down on their luck, and they met each other, and he had a daughter, so she helped raise the daughter. So they're looking for their daughter in a father-aunt type of situation, or father-mother. I like how they kind of didn't force the mother thing. but you could see she definitely cared for her in flashback scenes. And now they come to find out that Forge has not only survived, but he thrived
Yeah.
in taking over with the help of the wizard. What's her name?
Safina.
Sophina put a spell on the king to make him ill. The leeches have always served your majesty well. What? This is a Game of Thrones reference.
I know.
So he's fallen ill. Huh?
Yes, I know.
He's fallen ill. He's in an Odin sleep, which makes me wonder, why didn't they just kill him? They're literally trying to kill everybody else. Why save the king?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no answer to that one. I honestly don't know. I don't know how their monarchy works, so I don't know if it would have went to his children or if he had children. That's one that they left kind of unanswered.
Ambiguous. Yeah. Just opened up for interpretation. I guess. Somehow Hugh Grant character found his way to slide into the inner circle, and now he's running things. And for all intents and purposes, he's taking care of his Chris Pine's daughter pretty well. She looks like she's, well taken care of. She has her own room and she's studying, probably gets toys or gifts, but he's working with wizards, red wizards, who are outlawed in the realm. Because I will say this, that scene when I don't know why I can't remember her name.
Safina?
The red wizard lady? Safina. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Safina was talking to the shadow. That was epic.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Oh, Mr. Voldemort.
Because it was almost like so ambiguous. Like it's something there. Then you kind of see the eyes and the face, but nothing else, and it kind of looked like it was fading in and out. It's like, oh, okay. Voldemort didn't have that type right there. Step your wizardry up.
But yeah, that goes back into the VFX. I thought they were all really good, and just being able to have like the main arena area, like with the walls going up and down, and that whole design and how that was shot and composed, and that whole scene was just like, because you're going through the different dead ends and you're getting the props and everything, and the one chest with the teeth that came out was about to eat Michelle Rodriguez. Just all of the stuff, because I saw that they did a lot of.
Whoa, hey man, what kind of show is this? What?
I can't with you tonight. I don't know what it is, but no, it's just that the effects, you could tell that a lot of care was taken into them, and they did stuff practically where they could do stuff practically, and not everything was CG. Because the showing that I went to was early special fan event, so they had like a behind the scenes look at the movie, and so they were showing like a lot of the things that they did practically, like when they were in Forge's office or study or whatever, and they got sucked into the quicksand. That was like, really, they dug out a hole and buried them in sand. And it's being able to do stuff like that and actually have the practicality mixed into the VFX, but it all still looks the same, where believable. I thought there was never an opportunity or never a chance where I saw something that was like, ooh, that didn't look right. That looked kind of weird for, what it was supposed to look like. So I thought it was good.
Right. We saw a dragon on a console. That's the first time I think I've seen a dragon small like that.
Dragonborn, yeah. They're like half dragon, half human.
Yeah. Welcome to D&D.
What's going on?
I mean, they're half giants, half orcs, half elves.
And then you can have little antlers,
and that's what what's her face?
Doric.
Well, yeah, she's a half. Yeah, she's a tiefling.
Yeah.
But no, it's talking about Holga. That's her name.
Oh.
Her husband's a halfling. So.
Her husband's a halfling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband is her ex-husband.
There you go.
Ex-husband, yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Did not expect the Bradley Cooper cameo.
Did not either.
That was a surprise.
Shout out to VC, right? I was like, Bradley Cooper ain't got nothing to do. I guess so.
But then it did kind of set a sort of a tiny expectation of me just like wondering like throughout the movie who else was gonna be in, like who else was gonna show up. So I'm thinking, oh, is that person in the bird suit? Is that somebody? You know, is this guard somebody else?
Brad Pitt.
Could have been. He shows up in random movies. But yeah, so that was not that I noticed. I didn't really notice anybody else like making a cameo. So it was weird that he was the only one, and that was
also
the same.
half elf.
Oh, was he?
Sorry.
Oh yeah, the ears.
Who?
Simon, the wizard.
The shitty wizard.
Damn. So
he got
now
better.
That we found her.
Yep. Oh, he did get better. Yeah.
What do we think about? I mean, well, he got the courage, which was a cool thing too. When he punched his ancestors in the face and then moistened the hand.
It's very different than Wakanda.
Yeah, it's like about time. So a lot of stuff going on in this movie. It really was. It really was a lot going on. So we get to the point now that we found our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want her to come with us.
Right.
And we're being told no. And we're being told to my daughter or to our daughter or to the character, it's all the same person, that we're lying to her, that we went out on a quest just for coin, just for the money, the moolah, the cream, the scratch, the dinero. I would think the relationship would have been a little more tighter, that she wouldn't believe that. But it was 2 years, and she was 2 years younger. So if you have somebody kind of feeding you lies, and then your parents aren't there, I guess you got to kind of go with it, right? I would think somewhere in her heart, she would like, nah, my dad, nah, he'll come back. Nah, one day, someday. I don't think he would leave me just for... That's like saying your dad went to the store for scratchers and smokes, never came home. No, nobody dad went for scratchers and smokes, right? All right, no, I'm just checking.
I mean, we have the same dad,
making
so
sure that's not a sensible... No, I'm just saying, making sure that's not a sensible subject.
But you would think that probably, at the beginning, that's what she thinks, but depending on how much Forges, kind of try to drill it into her, that's not what happened. And because
I'm your daddy now.
Edgin didn't tell her where they were going or what they were doing, because he thought that he was protecting her just in case it didn't work and they failed, so she wouldn't be disappointed. So she's just going off on the notion, okay, well, they left but didn't tell me where. And then you have this constant telling you the same thing over and over. He, I know you're sad, but think about it. If he left you just for the money, it wouldn't be, all of this. So he's basically turning her grief against Edgin. And so, yeah, I fully believe that it was, and especially at that young of an age, I fully believe that, her heart was cold to him by the time he came back. And I think it was a little bit less cold to Holga, because I think she just thought that Holga was just going along with him, and it was all his idea because he was the planner. And so she wasn't as mad with Holga as she was with her dad.
How did Holga get her super strength? I really wanted to know that question.
He's a barbarian?
She's a barbarian. I guess I'll accept that as an answer.
That's what she is.
It's a class in D&D.
I'm gonna need you to do your research on D&D.
I love D&D. I can't wait to play it live. Right? I love D&D. Let me know when you guys are game. I'm up for it. Roll the dice. Strength level 10. 100 something.
1000 something.
But I'm just saying, it was Yeah, I was
But
just
yeah,
saying it
just
was.
it's just as a barbarian and from a whole race of barbarians, they have uh you know super. Now I want to say superhuman strength, but they have a lot more strength than just regular people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how she definitely has superhuman strength because she took a grown man and slammed him body wise, not choke slammed him, like she torso slammed him
Yeah,
into the stones.
one handed.
But
Mm-hmm.
one handed. But they did not lean on that trope. And I appreciated that. They didn't have her doing just ungodly things,
Mm-hmm.
walking around, taking arrows to the chest or to the face and just saying, like, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. She's strong, she's strong.
Right.
But
That's just how
her strength
barbarians
is
are.
kind
Is they specialize in, like, the brute force and everything,
Which is
and
also
melee and all
skilled.
that.
She's also skilled with weapons too.
Yeah.
What do you think about that fight scene she had in the blacksmith chambers?
I thought all of her fight scenes were good. I thought all of the fight scenes,
Mm-hmm.
period, were good.
Facts.
It's just that particular scene, like going through all going through all of the soldiers, just the way that the whole fight initiated. I thought it was a great mixture. It was a great mixture of her using weapons and then a little bit of comedy because she had took one of the helmets, so she put the helmet on and still fighting, headbutting people and shit. And then you had, the strength stuff. So you just had a mixture of all of it. And I thought all of the fights were just really damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were
Played
going
really
to see
well to their
that
characters, like
flaming
their
hammer come
classes.
into play, but it flamed up and then it cooled off,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was it. That was just the look.
I mean, it's
Do we
just like
like that
typical
real?
blacksmithing. Like you put iron, like you put something like the iron to heat it up metal. It's not
Yeah,
like flaming. It just that's how iron works and metal
Yeah,
works when
just
you're working with
metal
it.
slag is coated all
I'm
over it
not
now.
mad at it. I just thought in the world of magic, I just thought we were going to see it catch fire again.
No.
And
There is
maybe
some logic
we will.
within D&D.
I'm just
Not
saying,
all
maybe we
magic.
will.
That's
Did
what
this
Simon
give
said. I
you,
can't just magic everything.
Exactly.
Her one-liners was hilarious.
Her
Just
one-liners
pay with
were
magic.
Mhm.
like, why don't you just everything? Why don't you just
crazy.
pay with magic? Oh yeah,
Mhm.
her one-liners. They never fail to get a laugh out of me, and it's just it just goes to show how much Michelle Rodriguez can do. But it's like she's never really given the opportunity to do it in the other movies that she's in.
Yeah.
Damn. I
He's
don't
not
disagree,
wrong.
but damn, you may be on to something.
Because like
I love Michelle Rodriguez.
She had the comedy,
fight.
she had the action, and she had the dramatic parts too, and she did all of them. I feel excellently.
You know what I loved about this movie, and I'm not saying whether it's super or not, because I'm saying just these things that were high highs.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of foreshadowing in this movie, but not to a point of it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was an easy to follow along story because they at certain points made sure they put the foreshadowing in, and then when it paid off, it's like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, they showed that makes sense. I got it now.
You never had to stop and think about anything as to why this is happening that way, or it's like, oh, they didn't plot this out well, they didn't show that this was actually going to be a thing, so now this is more confusing. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because like when you were saying Michelle Rodriguez was going to get ate out by the box, they had already showed the other group open the box and got weapons out.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of her just saying, "Oh, there's a box," or you just open it up, she was opening it for a weapon, and we even see the what's her name, the elf shape-shifting owl bear lady, Dork. We already seen her open the chest and get a weapon out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when Michelle Rodriguez's character Helga opens up the chest, we're like, even though we've seen it in the trailer, we're like, well, maybe she'll get something out of there. Nope, just a large tongue or the chest with teeth, and it made sense that she would look. Just like it made sense for them to jump into the little time jelly, because other than that, how are they going to get out of the maze, out of the arena?
But like you said, with the foreshadowing, they had already showed that if you stay in this gelatinous cube, but if you stay in there too long, it's acidic and it's going to eat you alive. Like you said, they showed that other guy got thrown in there, and then they come back to him again, and he's all bones. And Hogan's like, "You want us to end up like that?" And we don't know exactly what Doric has planned, but we see, and they are showing, even when the first time we see her shapeshift and she's spying on Forge, and Sofina like detects that there's somebody, like she can't even see it because Doric is just a little fly, but her magic, she can just detect that she's in the room. And so seeing Doric get away by turning into different animals, and then of course Holga has her one-liner, so she's saying she did turn into a deer. But yeah, so we see, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but just in that whole sequence of events, she's herself, and then while they're going down, before she settles, turns into the snake to where she can slip through. And it's like, it's just so quick detail that if you blink, you might have missed it. But when she jumped and to where her finger extended out of the cube, so that it would still have that hole.
So they can have a hole.
And then her being able to like squeeze out and then pull them all out. It was like exciting because you're like, these are the heroes of the story, so they're not going to just die in this cube. But I still don't know. I don't know how they're going to get out because it's so different. Like you said, we're in this fantasy realm where anything can potentially happen. So who knows what possibilities.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper could show up.
And then to pull them out. Well, no, I thought it was all well written.
Of it, though.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I was never. I was. It's in the world of anything that could possibly happen. You're kind of wondering what's going to happen, because even when they were in the outer underworld, Underdark, there you go, and they stepped on the bridge, and the bridge collapsed. Like, you wanted to be mad, but it's like, what are we gonna do now? I appreciate the fact, because this was one of the scenes that were played in like every single trailer, every single TV spot, so we know that this is gonna happen when they get to the bridge. But the setup of Zank explaining the puzzles and the level of detail, not only the level of detail, but the level of speed that he was explaining it and expecting everybody of like, oh, what is the bridge in the trailer, a different bridge? Like, is that not the one that they're gonna knock down? And then it happens, and like, oh, okay. Just the extra setup to that scene, I felt like
it was the fact that it started simple and then it was like, oh yeah, and then this, then this, then this.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to follow that sequence. That bridge I would have went down in the bridge. So the fact that he stepped on it beforehand, he just saved my life. So I'm not mad about it at all. Because once you hit the middle, then it's opposite, and then it's the other odd number. So I'm like, damn. And he did pull it off well. He's from Bridgerton, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Reggae Jean Page.
So he's a great character, almost a great guy. He was a victim of when the wizards were taking over the first time as a kid, ran away from the smoke, wasn't able to, because he did what all kids did, stopped and looked. Like when the dinosaurs are coming, you stop and look. Like when Wanda's chasing you, you stop and you look. And then, oh, it's really coming. So he started running again, and he got half of it because the demons came out of the smoke like Wanda did.
His parents turned and then tried to get him.
Right?
That's what it was. Because he was with his parents. He was trying to escape, and the parents got caught and told him to run. And so that's when he stopped. And then the parents had turned and tried to grab him, and then he kept on running.
So now he has some of the wizard's power, kind of like a Blade character.
He's a paladin, yeah.
Well, I'm just excited for Blade coming. And now he has all these abilities, and now he's fighting against the wizardry and being a good guy. The walking in a straight line was hilarious for me.
the commentary
Like,
from
he's going-
Edgin wondering if he was going to turn around the rock. Oh, here's a rock. What's he going to do? Is he going to go left? He's going to go right? Nope. Walk right over it. And that was probably all ad lib. They probably did like 4 or 5 takes of that just because he's not facing the camera, so you don't see his mouth. So who knows what other jokes we might have missed of them doing that. But yes, absolutely hilarious.
Do you think if they would have not stayed true to the word of giving the treasure back to the people, that he would have been cursed or would have been damned? Because they were in the boat, and I know we're hopping around on the story, but it's okay. Go see the movie. They were in the boat, and they were far enough away to not be affected by the city at all. I mean, it could have just been a city of wizards now. That's over there. It's kind of like Detroit. It's over there.
Wow.
It's right there. All I'm saying is Detroit's right there. I love Detroit. Love Chicago too. It's over there though.
Why are you bringing Chicago
They
into
were
this?
further enough away that they didn't really have to turn around. He had his daughter. He had a boat full of gold, jewels, and the key to bring his wife back. But as we know, because it's the call of the hero to accept the fact that you're going to risk it all to turn around. Would you have turned around, Michelle? Go keep it 100. Keep it 100.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And because I feel like he was also trying to prove to his daughter, too, because I feel like she was still wary of him a bit. And so he was trying to prove to her that it wasn't like, I'm not doing just for the fun of it. Like, I was doing it to save you or doing it to save your mom kind of thing. So, and then when he realized that she had turned on him because of dumbass Lord Neverwinter, then I feel like he was trying to, she trusted him a little bit before when they got on the boat. And then I feel like him going back was another way, like, okay, see, I'm doing it. I want to be better. I want to get better at this and all that. Yeah.
Spider, you would have turned around or you would have?
Yeah, I would have turned around. If I felt like we've come this far, but the group that he's with and everything that they've overcome to get to that point, if they know exactly what's going to happen, and from what Zank told them, and they see that it's all coming true, you gotta know that if we let this go down, then no matter how far away we run, they're going to come after us because we didn't take the opportunity to stop them here and now. So yeah, I would have turned around, did what I could do, because they went there with no plan on how they would win.
They didn't have any idea how they were going to win.
But that didn't stop them from fighting.
And there was already some wizards turned already, right? Because she had started with this little magical horn, started putting the blood of the smoke god out onto the people. So they were already turned. Everybody was in the inner circle, the rich people making bets. So you're going up against a little mini army. Woo! Scary.
It is
stuff.
Yeah.
I will say this though. That fight scene, one of the best fight scenes.
Which one? When it was all 5 of them?
Yes, the way they incorporated the magic with the transformations, with the melee, with come on. That was nice.
I feel like I know the main goal of the writers and the directors of the movie were saying that they wanted it to be for everybody. Like, you didn't need to have experience with playing D&D as a board game, as a tabletop game before seeing this movie. And for those people who have played D&D, there'll be some little things that aren't necessarily integral to the story. It's like you don't need their prior knowledge to know exactly what they're doing, but when you hear it, You hear Baldur's Gate, you hear Neverwinter, you hear the Hither Thither Staff, and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, those are nice little like nods to the game. But for those of us who do have knowledge, it was so funny because you can think of Simon stepping on the bridge, and that's like rolling, a natural one for dexterity. He just so happens to step on a trap. And it's like, but it's like picking up different pieces of knowledge, like that's like rolling a 10 on intellect, and them going through the cemetery, resurrecting the dead people so they can ask them questions, and it's like roll for perception. If you roll low, you get another dead body that didn't do anything in the battle. He got he got stabbed, and that's the last thing I remember. So it's not you.
Or the one that slipped on the tub before you didn't even go to battle, just slipped on the tub. That's a nat 1 kind of move right there.
Right. Just like the question was, why is it 5 questions? Why you only get 5? And right. Like, that's what it is.
That's all I know. That is 5. But yeah, and it's just stuff like that. Just being able to kind of relate, like, oh, if I was playing the game, like that would have caused this to happen. And that final fight scene was just like a round of combat, and basically you roll for initiative that gives you the order of who goes when. And a round of combat, I think they said would last like in real time about 6 seconds. So you're thinking about, you're rolling, you calling out your spells, you calling out your moves, and all of this stuff, which would normally in a game take probably about like 20 minutes to get through. All of this is happening instantaneously, and that's like, if you've ever heard anything about Dungeons and Dragons and heard it played and hear people go into a round of combat and have any trouble about how to visualize what that would look like exactly, I feel like they did a great job of capturing that in a movie.
What are we looking at right now as far as box office numbers?
I think it was over 71 million worldwide. Words are hard. 71.5 million.
What was the budget? Do we know?
150.
I think it was 150.
150.
Not a bad budget.
Mm-hmm.
So, and money-wise, we're not looking at breaking even quite yet, but it's still early.
Yeah.
Do we think that we're gonna break even or actually be on top?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
break even, yeah. Go out on top? No, I don't think so. I think coming out against John Wick. You don't think
you'll be like 20 on top?
20 on top of breaking even?
Yeah.
Maybe 10 and 15.
Like this. Would you watch this movie again?
I would, yeah. I would.
Because I was thinking to myself, Keisha and I went to see this, right? She fell asleep, but she had jet lag. That's okay. She was coming in from Mexico. I understood. But I was heavily invested in this.
Right.
Since the trailer. My one gripe about this is that it had a lot in the trailer. Probably had too much in the trailer. I would have enjoyed more not seeing it in the trailer. But Spidey, when you and I talk about this all the time, when you have a good one, you want to kind of throw it out there to get not the masses of people that are undecided about going. But I think I think you should go for your core fans, and then have those core fans kind of bring everybody else in, which is a dangerous game because remember, The Matrix came out and it did not do well. And then people were like, hey, where's that movie where that guy stopped time and spun around? And they had a similar movie out like it, and that caught fire, but it was like, nah, that's not it. So they re-released The Matrix, and it became the cult classic that it is now. So word of mouth is tricky.
Yeah.
But I think overall, it tends to be better, with The Matrix still being one of the, I think it's in the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time.
maybe.
Top
But I
20
think
at least.
that no, I understand what you're saying, but I think that in today's day and age where movie numbers overall are dwindling because people just kind of aren't really going to the movies, I think that,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, post pandemic as well, and people still, you know, not being too keen on being around another group of people, especially if it comes to a big budget movie, something like a John Wick or something like a Matrix type thing. Um, I don't know if they want to just bet on I can only appeal to my core audience. Like I only want to appeal to people who know D&D and just throw like a bunch of references out and just kind of alienate anybody who's not really interested in it. I don't think that, you know, I think that would be more of a risk, a higher risk than a reward.
They're saying the same thing about the Mandalorian. They're saying the numbers have dropped, which I know this is not the same as what we're talking about now. We're looking at fantasy, and then we're looking at space cowboys. Um,
Still
but are
fantasy.
people just not interested? Well, I'm just saying for an example, are people just not interested in stories anymore?
I think
Have we seen
in the
everything there is to see?
no in the in reference to the Mandalorian, speaking about that specifically, I think what that is that you have these diehard Star Wars fans, and
They'll
they
cut you.
right, but they take in all of the lore, they take in all of the backstory, they take in all of the different versions of different plot storylines and all this other kind of stuff, and I think that I don't think it's that they don't care about the story because I've heard a lot of good things about Andor, which I didn't watch, but over The Mandalorian, over season 2 and now season 3 of The Mandalorian. And I think it's just really the story isn't going the way that they have envisioned in their head that the story would go. And so they accuse Star Wars as being too Disney. They're trying to cutify everything up, focus on Grogu, when I feel like Grogu was the real focus of the entire story anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't really care for the direction that the story is going. They would rather see something that was closer to what they want to think about and or what they have thought about to be their version of the story. Now, as that relates to something like this, I think that this was a great story for us to get. And I can see if they wanted to turn it into a franchise, not necessarily a sequel to the same movie, but I think they could turn it into like an anthology type thing. Just kind of like how, you know, you have different campaigns with Dungeons and Dragons. It can be a Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, Dungeons and Dragons The Trolls Keep, you know,
The
just
quest
have
for the
different, yeah, and just each one have a different set of characters, sort of the same through line. And if you want to have the same type of comedy in it, sure, but I feel like they could make that into a whole franchise because those stories are interesting.
I'm not disagreeing with you. The moment that this one ended,
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting around for a post credit scene outside of the dead man still being dead, and wishing somebody asked him that final question
Right.
so he could die. Um, because I kind of wanted to set up for something else.
Right.
I immediately wanted a sequel.
And I think
Michelle, did you
that's
get
great
that?
storytelling because they made you care about
Mm-hmm.
those characters to that point to where you want to see more about them.
So, were you getting teared up when Michelle Rodriguez character bit the bullet?
No, because
Michelle's like, nah.
the reason that I didn't, because Michelle Rodriguez always dies in her movies, and
I really wish they stopped killing her.
and
Why do they keep killing her?
when it happened, I was more upset that it happened because I thought we were finally going to get through a movie where she was able to survive until the end, but then she gets stabbed with the damn wizard
Melee.
blades.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what's a emotional campaign if one of your party members don't die?
You know what? I'm ready to play D&D with anybody that's willing to play. And they got to know the rules though, because they can't, I'll test these theories. It's like you rolled a 6, your wizard's leg is broken. It's like, what? Not with this healing ability of Gollum or whatever nonsense.
But you'd have to wait until the next turn to use it.
No, because I got the skip a reverse card. Oh no.
You skip reverse Uno card. But anyway, so we've talked a lot about the movie. Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie?
The only thing that I did not care for in this movie was the fact that all the juicy parts were in the trailer. Not to say that there were no juicy parts outside of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that the majority of them was in the trailer. That's it. I really enjoyed the movie. You're going to ask me the question. I'm going to answer the question. But you saw that pause for dramatic effect? I really would appreciate it if they didn't put everything inside the trailer.
That's fair. What were you saying, Michelle?
The fact that they basically copied Voldemort for the Red Wizards. So literally all I could see when that scene came, I was like, it's Voldemort. That's what it is.
Were you looking for a little Harry Potter character?
I was not.
Oh.
I didn't expect it. I was like, what the fuck is this? But I feel like they did well with the characters and all that. Like, there's a couple of the abilities and such where it's like, it shouldn't be possible with D&D, but...
Which ones? Which abilities was this?
It was just like some of the magic stuff that was done. Like, usually you can't, like in D&D, you have a set number of spells you can use kind of thing. Like, you're only limited on so many you can use before you sleep and all that stuff. Like, you can only use so many at a time before a long rest or whatever. So some of it was, like, unrealistic, but I know it's also because they weren't trying to focus straight on D&D and just focus on straight the D&D crowd, because otherwise normal crowd would get bored by that kind of stuff. So...
Yeah.
We have to pause this fight so I can take a short rest.
Somewhat interesting. That would have been interesting though. Actually, it was like a character that I can only use like 6 spells and then I got to take a nap. I could see that working in this story though. It's like, because
it's like they have the spells they could use anytime, but then they have like their powerful ones which we use like fights and stuff. Those can only be used in like certain times. So. And like a certain number of times and all this stuff. You only have like 2 kinds of spells equipped at once kind of thing, so.
Yeah, like the first time they met Simon, and Simon levitated the whole entire city, or the whole entire building. Like, when they were leaving the city, like, he was on his horse and he was like yawning like he was exhausted. That'd have been, and like you said, he could have made a comment about he needed to take a nap after, all of everything that he did. Yeah, they could have kind of worked that in there.
And that's the thing. I can see them exploring a lot. There was a lot of world building in this, story. And so, how do we feel about Hugh Grant's character trying to fly out the window?
Oh, at the end?
I love the fact that everything didn't go right. Even though Chris Pine's character is like, I make plans, and she goes like, you make plans that fail. And you could clearly see he didn't make plans that fail, but things didn't necessarily go according to plan.
Right.
And he said, when the plan doesn't work, I make a new plan. And we saw this in real time.
This is plan C. Is it plan C just plan A? No, plan A had stink on it.
Right.
I also just couldn't stop on seeing Hugh Grant from freaking Love Actually.
Oh, God.
That's where I know him from. So like,
I understand. I know him from what was the movie he did with Sandra Bullock? That was my first real exposure to Hugh Grant.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
He did one with Sandra Bullock though. I just remember him on Notting Hill for Julia Roberts. But
the only thing that had me, he was really good. He really felt like a sleazy, slimy person. And you see him like reveal his entire plan, or at least get caught in his plan by Egan and Holga. And then immediately the next scene that we see him, he goes up to Kira and basically is just like flat out lying to her face. And he was like, I'm glad you see some good in me because it makes me think that there just might be. He's telling her that there's no good in him. But the way he says it, he just spins it around.
And that's why it's like it was great because he was playing like that rogue character perfectly because that's the class he was in. So like they're known for being sneaky and backstabbing and all that kind of stuff, which is why he's the con artist.
Oh my God. He was horrible. He's like, I don't want to see you die.
So I'm gonna leave the room.
Yep.
No remorse. Doesn't care.
That's horrible.
But it made you really hate him, man.
Shout out to I think that's.
And it's like you have those two types of good villains. You have the good villain where you can kind of sympathize with them and see where they're coming from, like a Killmonger, like a Thanos type thing. And then you have a good villain where they do just enough shitty things. You're like, I want them to lose. I hate you so much right now.
You're horrible.
Which is why I'm great they brought it back to him at the end with him running into the paladin. Afterwards, after when he had just the chalice on him.
Oh yeah. Zank walking in the straight line. I honestly, because I forgot that they had the whole connection with Zank and Zank wanting to get him and for everything that he did. And I thought that he was gonna come in contact with Zank and Zank was just gonna like walk over him and keep going.
Strong possibility.
Zank's too nice for that.
Zank is too nice.
Why wouldn't he show up for the fight though?
Because it wasn't his fight.
Type of nonsense is this?
He was just there. They just went to him for the helm, and that's all they needed from him.
He said he wasn't going to get involved in them because he basically said, "You're basically telling me that you want me to give you this helmet so you can go steal stuff." And you're like, "Well, yeah, we're stealing from the Lord of Neverwinter, but." I mean, essentially, like Hoga said, yes, we're stealing. When he called it out, Hoga was like, yes, exactly. He's like, Hoga, you're not helping. But yeah, so he was saying that he would help them because it's going to take down the Lord of Neverwinter, but he didn't want to take part in them stealing this or stealing like the gold because they're still stealing. They're stealing from the rich, but it's still stealing. And Zank is against that. So he said he won't be a part of it until he walked over his rocks.
Once they're done, is that what they're saying?
No, I don't think they can give it back because Simon is attuned to it.
Once you're attuned to something, that's yours.
It's basically useless to anybody else.
Yep. And that's why it was such a struggle for him to attune to it because you had to prove yourself worthy of it.
Yeah, just punch yourself in the face. Or punch your ancestor in the face. But his biggest thing was the lack of confidence, though. So it made sense. To me, it did. So overall thoughts.
Are we asking? Are we going there? Are we about to do this?
Michelle, Dungeons and Dragons, not the video game or the board game, the actual movie, Honor Amongst Thieves, or lack thereof. Did you find it to be or not to be super?
I thought it was very super. I really liked the movie. I enjoyed it, and like Spider's saying, there's a bunch of laughs and stuff going on. So it was a good movie. Like it put the good balance of action, adventure, as well as the comedy is thrown in there too. So I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was super. Visual effects were great. Storyline was great. I liked it.
Spider. Michelle said it's super. Don't you just go taking her side. I need you to let the people know.
I'll send the mimic after him if he doesn't.
Oh, wow. Okay. What? Okay. No, harsh. You don't want that mimic.
Harsh.
Super or lack thereof?
No, this movie was absolutely super. It was. I knew going into it, the way it was framed in the trailer, that it was going to be funny. I didn't know it was going to be as funny as it actually was. But shout out to the writing team, shout out to the directors, and just the way that they framed this. And you can tell that these are people and the writers, the set designers, especially like I said, because they did so many things practically. A lot of the sets that they built were practical sets, so it doesn't look like, you know, bad CG rendering in the background. And I mean, even like the fight. Well, I say fight, but the scene where they're getting chased by the dragon, and it's like
The pudgy dragon.
that is one pudgy dragon. And it's like,
yeah, I was about to say that too. That was
just
a dragon.
the description of words. There's so many words that she could have used to describe the size of the dragon.
Pudgy.
I know, and I'm glad that she used the word pudgy because I felt like it was very appropriate. Some people can say, "Oh, look at that fat dragon." It wasn't just a fat dragon; it was a pudgy dragon. Because I mean, the dragon.
His name.
And what's the dragon's name?
Thumbershot.
Thumbershot. Thumbershot.
Yep.
Oh,
it was just a red dragon, but that was his name.
Are we what?
Put some respect on his name.
What?
He said, "Put some respect on Thumbershot's name."
Oh.
Well, so when they were being chased by Thumbershot and the whole seesaw portion of the bridge where Thumbershot couldn't get up, and so he's pulling Edgin down, and
little arms.
Little legs too. But just like we know that, of course, this is a computer generated dragon that's chasing him, but it didn't.
Know, that was pretty real.
That's what it's. I mean, the way it moved, it was definitely CG. But just like that, there was never a time where the special effects took me out of the movie and was like, oh, this doesn't look like it's lit right. You know, it doesn't look like it's rendered right. The scale is off. Something just doesn't look right as far as the CG aspects of it. And so having all of that, and I keep going back to the practicality of everything and just being able to, it looks like practical stuff because a lot of the stuff that they did was on practical sets. And everything about it is just the comedy, the action, the drama. And I may not have cried when Holga died, but even when she's brought back to life and she realizes what they did, and she's like, "Don't tell me that you wasted it on me." And she's like, "Well, why would you do that?" Like, you could hear the happiness in her voice, and that's not a role that you normally see Michelle Rodriguez in. And even though it was just for a very brief amount of time that she like exhibited that emotion, I just thought that was like one of the best line deliveries. Like, even on top of all of her little one-liners, that was probably one of the best line deliveries that she had in the movie. But
I agree.
Mr. VIP Frankie Washington.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves,
D&D,
is it super? Do you feel that it is super?
Remember we talked about Vox Machina on Amazon Prime?
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to throw that in there for no reason at all. I thought the movie was super. I thought the movie was super, sir. I was very disappointed in the fact that it was over. That's how I was sad about it. Because again, you got Chris Pine, you got Michelle Rodriguez, you got Hugh Grant just bringing it like he's never brought it before. Whole cast of talented people coming together. You were right. You are absolutely right. You guys are both right. We're not lacking on the CGI. We're not lacking on the fight scenes. We're not lacking on the story. We're not lacking on the motivations. We're not lacking on the foreshadowing because it's all laid out. My biggest gripe was too much was in the trailer, but I still enjoyed the movie. Mm-hmm. The parts that were not in the trailer were enjoyable. There was enough there to keep me going. If I could ask for anything more, I would ask for a franchise because, like you said earlier, there's so many other places that we can go with the story. I would like to see it go there. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Let's get more wizards or more dragons or more. You know, the fact that they grabbed the chancellor and jumped out the window. We wasn't expecting that. We was like,
and then the callback to
that he was really like
the callback to Forge trying to do it, and they learned, so they bricked up the window.
Yeah,
exactly. Jonathan having to get smashed into the wall.
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe he was somebody that they paid off.
Right. That's, he had to be there.
his race is known to be like a peacekeeper, wanting to do good kind of thing. So they knew they had the best chance with him there to get a pardon.
But at that point, we didn't know what race he was, so we couldn't have put that together.
Is true. I went in it.
Oh yeah, no, we did. I'm just, but I'm like, that's why when he came through, those who play D&D and saw his race, they realized why they were waiting for him, kind of thing.
So it wasn't just that because he was a bird.
It's a bird man.
Well, bird man. It wasn't just because he had wings.
There's a whole other technical part to it, but it wasn't just because he had wings. Okay. That was also an aspect of it, but yeah.
That's the only aspect I knew, because I would have jumped out the window with him too, just to try to survive. It was a nice movie. It really was a super movie. I can't wait to see if they'll do a sequel. They should do a franchise, and let's get the band back together again with the newfound powers. I don't know if they can do what they did again differently. Like, for example, all the transitioning, running through as different animals and such. Maybe they can twist it and make it kind of spy-like. But at the same time, I will be excited to see how it will play out and come together. We got characters and character developments. We have a wizard with lack of self-confidence. We have a main character whose motivations are clear. We have side characters whose motivations are clear. There was no doubt everybody knew what everybody was gunning for or trying to attain in this movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you for probably having one of the best movies this year.
I'll agree with that.
This year, Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! So methodical class.
It was even worse that your microphone didn't pick it up, so it just looked like.
Yep.
Yeah. it was just for my visual watchers. So for everybody on audio, I clapped slowly, and you just didn't hear it.
But let us know in the comments what you thought about Dungeons and Dragons on Among Thieves. Let us know if you thought it was super, or if you have some other opinions about it. We would love to read those. But remember, if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on any of your major streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we like reading the comments. Yeah,
we like reading the comments.
Yeah, we do.
My God.
Him too.
But Michelle, thank you so much for joining us again this week. I know we normally only have you on our Marvel episodes, but we're very happy to have you joining us again, talking about D&D, which we can see that you are so thoroughly interested in.
Hey, wait, you gotta
Definitely
tell
now.
where they can find you, Michelle.
Basically any social, Twitch, TikTok, Insta, Twitter, Vippin Queen, Bippin Queen. And yeah.
You heard it.
There it is. There it is.
But thank you so much for joining us this week. Again, we will be back next week with another great episode, and we will see you then. But keep being super.